Bread making hinges on the chemical synergy of flour and water. Wheat flour is used most often, but rye flour is also used in the instance of rye bread. As you've probably heard a dozen times from dietitians and daytime talk show hosts, whole wheat flour is much healthier than white flour. The reason is that in milling white flour, other parts of the grain, such as bran, which contains oodles of dietary fiber, and germ, which is a goldmine of nutrients, are filtered out, leaving only the endosperm, which comprises carbohydrates and proteins, which is fine, but since all carbohydrates are eventually broken down into glucose or sugar, white bread doesn't really bring so much to the table in the way of nutrition. So when water is added to the flour, its insoluble proteins form a web of gluten. Meanwhile, you have yeast, these microorganisms that feed on the carbohydrates in the flour, and they generate carbon dioxide as a byproduct, which gets caught in the gluten web. And as all this is happening, pressure is building, and this is what's causing dough to rise. In the case of sourdough, a symbiotic flour-water environment houses wild yeast in the air and lactic acid producing bacteria, giving the dough its sour taste. So when any bread is baked, the gluten coagulates around the gas bubbles, giving the interior a firm structure and holy appearance. Also, during the baking process, the sugars on the surface of the dough undergo the Maillard reaction, which is a kind of caramelization, and this is how food browns and how bread forms a delicious chewy crust. Now you can see why bread making is deceivingly easy.